New questions today about one of the controversies plaguing the White House. This time, the IRS's targeting of conservative groups for extra scrutiny, and in particular, a woman named Lois Lerner. By the time lawmakers return to work next week, there will be no fewer than 4 different investigations getting underway. There are new questions, however, today about IRS staffers at the center of the agency's behavior. One of them, we'll start with her, Sarah Hall Ingram, led the agency's tax-exempt division. She was above Lois Lerner on the totem pole. She seems to be getting a complete pass, and actually it looks like a promotion. And the White House is defending her as having done nothing wrong. We continue to try to understand that. Another, Lois Lerner, who's below Sarah Hall Ingram, is now on administrative leave after pleading the fifth before the U.S. Congress and refusing to answer lawmakers' questions. That's the same as refusing to answer your questions. And she's still collecting her $177,000 per year paycheck. Joining me now to discuss it, Leslie Marshall, syndicated radio talk show host and Fox News contributor, and Chris Plant, who's host of the Chris Plant Show. So Lois gets to, her Memorial Day weekend wasn't 3 days. It's ongoing. It's indefinite. Lois can go work out at the gym. Lois can meet her friends for lunch. Lois is having a grand old time, I'm sure. And she's getting almost $200,000 a year of our money to do it, because instead of firing her, they put her on paid administrative leave. And they did that, Chris, because when she was asked to resign, according to Senator Chuck Grassley, she refused. And so that leaves us where?
Isn't that great? They ask her to resign, she says no, and they say okay. What a deal. Apparently Anwar al-Awlaki needed a better union because the President of the United States decided to unilaterally and without a shred of due process assassinate Anwar al-Awlaki, an American citizen overseas who joined al-Qaeda. No doubt about it. But he doesn't have the power to fire an IRS employee. This is an amazing time in which we live, is it not? The president maintains a kill list in the Oval Office called a disposition matrix, and he personally chooses the people that will be killed, but you can't fire an IRS employee. Isn't that amazing?
Well,
this
but that predates President Obama. President Obama can only fire the political appointees at the IRS.
Right.
And he did that. I mean, he asked for Stephen Miller's resignation, so that guy left us 3 weeks prior to when he was scheduled to leave us.
3 weeks.
Even though it's very hard to fire these bureaucrats, Leslie, it is not impossible. They could fire Lois Lerner if they want to fire her. President Obama can't do it, but he can certainly lean on those who have the power to do it. Why don't they?
Well, first of all, as you know, they have contracts. And can I just say, Chris, I hate the IRS, and I may even feel terrorized by them. But to go from Lois Lerner to terrorist, come on, buddy. That's the biggest jump in my lifetime.
And Chris's defense,
and he didn't even flinch. He didn't even flinch when he did it. Love you for that. But you know what? Hey, look, I'm a taxpayer, and I literally hate the IRS. I really do. I think all of us do. However, we have a presumption of innocence in this country. And although I do say, and Megan, you're an attorney, you know better. When I hear somebody plead the fifth, I think just stamp a G on your forehead for guilty, unless you're not. And if Lois Lerner is not guilty, maybe that's why she refuses to resign, because she feels she did nothing wrong.
Let me ask you a follow-up, because I agree with you. In terms of criminality, that's an investigation that needs to play out. It needs to play out in the court system and so on. And that's when you assert your Fifth Amendment rights, that's what you're preserving. You're protecting yourself from going to jail. But firing her is an entirely different matter. And, we have the letters. There's 15 letters Jay Sekulo's got in hand with her signature on it to the conservative groups wanting to know, tell us who all your friends are, give us all your Facebook pages. She signed out. She was the person ahead in charge, basically, of that division in Cincinnati doing this. So how much investigation do we need before Lois stops getting our nearly $200,000 a year of taxpayer dough?
Well, thank you for saying that. That's why I was saying we don't need a special prosecutor. Now we have like 4 investigations going. With the contracts, there is something, as you know, with the 10 deadly sins. I do believe this is one of those 10. And I do believe that the government can fire her, because I don't know what is revealed and going to be revealed in the upcoming investigations. I don't know why they haven't done that. But I would imagine, because everything's going to come out, especially if there's a special prosecutor, which is going to take more time, and they'll be paid while that time goes on, Chris. And in addition, taxpayer money, we're not going to know all the facts, especially when she pled the fifth. So right now, we can't fire a federal employee for pleading the fifth. And can they fire her for signing off if, in fact, she was told to do so by somebody even higher up, which I believe the investigation will hopefully reveal.
Well, let's talk about that, because there is an allegation by some that this is hush money, that they don't want to fire her, because if she gets fired, she has at least 2 administrative appeals where she'll go in there and defend herself and say, I know you hate Lois Lerner, but let me tell you about Sarah Hall Ingram. Or there's other guy, Joseph Grant, who took over for Sarah Hall Ingram. Or maybe somebody above them. I don't know how high it goes. But there's a question about whether there's a reason they don't want to fire her and kick off all those administrative appeals, Chris.
Well, look, that's true, and that's, I mean, look, public sector unions, even FDR was against them, and it's essentially a corrupt system. What we have here is a corrupt episode in American history, and I think it will end up being an American presidential history. We've got, it's not really just about Lois Lerner, obviously, and the investigation, special prosecutor, whatever it is, who benefited from this? Let's follow the money on this, and the money goes to Barack Obama and to his re-election campaign. It's not money in this case, but it's the re-election effort. This is an incredibly corrupt episode in American government and presidential history. And honestly, I think that Lois Lame, as she's come to be known, is kind of small potatoes in the scheme of things. But when she pleads the fifth, you're right, it certainly gives the appearance of her being guilty. And when this is a great opportunity for Americans to peek under the skirt of Washington, D.C. and see what really goes on around here. This is your government at work. Isn't it great?
Before I let you go, quickly, this Sarah Hall Ingram, she was the boss of Lois Lerner back in 2010. Then she gets promoted to go run Obamacare for the IRS, and this other guy, Joseph Grant, steps in to take her shoes. Now, he has resigned. He's one of the 2 to go. Stephen Miller, the acting commissioner, he went, and Joseph Grant went. Well, what about her? She was there when the plot was hatched, according to the reports, and now she's been effectively promoted. The White House says, oh, she did nothing wrong. How do we know that, Leslie?
Well, honestly, this is the woman, and I don't want to use Chris's up the skirt analogy there, but this is the one that I am most concerned with, and I am a liberal Democrat, seriously. And I say that because the question here is not the IRS scrutinizing applications for a new ruling that they're understaffed and not completely knowledgeable on, to be honest. And the fact is, more conservative groups have super PACs that filed these applications, and none, left or right, should have been given any tax-exempt status, nor should they, because they're all political in nature, left or right, and the only one denied was a liberal group. But if it's the political motivation and the specific targeting of these conservative groups, so that it's the sin here of those 10 deadly sins.
I'm not taking issue with what you said, but the only one denied was a liberal group is extremely misleading. That's extremely misleading.
Yeah, that's right.
You know that there were hundreds. There were
groups
hundreds of conservative groups that were placed on the back burner, that were forced to wait for 3 years, and there's bipartisan agreement on how. But to point out that one liberal group was denied is to avoid the entire issue of how the conservative groups were targeted. You know that's the issue. You know that's what they were doing.
Well, no, I
As
said
for your
that.
explanation
I said that
as to
is the
why,
sin.
understaffing and so on, that's your opinion. That's fine. I don't challenge you on that. But don't mislead the viewers into thinking, oh, it was the liberal group that was denied. That's not what this story proved. That's not what the IG concluded. The IG concluded there was targeting of the conservative groups. That's what happened.
Well, my point to that, Megan, was when Chris said that the president benefited, I would agree with him had the conservative groups been denied and the liberal groups been given tax-exempt status.
They were effectively denied.
They were effectively
for
denied
3 years without getting their status.
That's
Meantime,
right.
OFA, the president's 501c4, was approved in 30 days. I mean, how's that happen? They get expedited approval, and the conservative groups are waiting 3 years. I mean, that's
and the president's brother, the president's half-brother, who was, we never heard of until we found out that he'd been approved in less than 30 days by the IRS. This was a systematic harassment of opponents of President Obama, and he's the beneficiary. We need a special prosecutor.
Well, we'll see. We'll see as we continue the saga of the women at the IRS. Leslie, Chris, thank you.
Thanks.
It's not as catchy.